And look, there's a House Republican majority today, but there could be a Democratic majority tomorrow, or at least in under 2 years. And when we are sitting on this committee, and if we get a chance to have the subpoena power and look into this and find out that Elon Musk has used his power to enrich himself, the consequences could actually be much greater than just having his contracts cut off.
MSNBC said Musk's more deadly than the Vietnam War.
He talked about bringing the wood chipper to USAID. They have a tracker. 300,000 deaths. According to a Boston University professor, because of the aid cuts so far, 200 of them children. Okay, Vietnam War, y'all remember that? 60,000 U.S. service members died. This is 5 times more deaths.
Cutting spending's a war crime in Washington. Elon puts his 5 companies on ice for 4 months to help cut pork and make government more efficient. And Democrats firebombed his cars and called him a Nazi and accused him of taking drugs. Oh, and as a cherry on top, if they take the House back, they're going to make his life hell and fine his companies.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, just as things were beginning to look really bad for MAGA, and the movement seemed truly divided, perhaps some are saying the most divided we have ever been, you knew you could always count on the Democrats to do something really ridiculous and idiotic and cartoonish that would, of course, screw up the entire competitive advantage and narrative control they had over us. And that is exactly the case today, as we got to tell you about the insane Looney Tunes level plots of how Democrats today tried to recruit Elon Musk to come back to their own side after everything that was happening. So it's like, yeah, not only did we call you a Nazi for the inauguration speech, not only did we try to firebomb your freaking businesses, but, suddenly now you're against Trump. Let's let bygones be bygones. Yeah, welcome back, Elon Musk. We're just going to pretend like this never happened. That was right. Democrats were trying to do that earlier today. It's hilarious.
Thing on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
Like, you can't even make that up, right? They're literally basically saying here, I mean, yeah, Elon, we tried to firebomb your businesses and ruin your life and even make threats against you. We tried to, of course, bankrupt you, as you saw in that famous video of Tim Walz and all that stuff. But, hey, do you want to be a Democrat now? Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot even make this up. We got to tell you about it in today's video. And I think this was ridiculous to begin with. Again, the Democrat plan to apparently try to recruit Elon Musk to their own side. But on top of that, when you consider the fact that, as we covered in the last video, and we'll give you some brief updates on, the fact that Elon and Trump apparently just made up, or at the very least, Elon is saying he is now willing to make peace with Trump and basically stop going off on him and attack him and all this stuff. It makes the whole situation even funnier because on that level of escalation, Democrats made themselves look even more stupid. So we'll get into it. First though, folks, do us a big favor. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. You subscribing is the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And with that said, if you think I'm joking here, I literally am not, as you can see. Democrats this is from Politico. Democrats eye a villain to ally arc for Elon Musk. The messy public breakup, as Politico says, between two MAGA heavyweights makes some Democrats wonder if there's a role for them to play. Yes. Of course, I think it's kind of funny too, assuming somehow, as you'll see here in a second, that Elon left because he wants to be a liberal again, which maybe he could have done out of spite. I understand that angle to it, but generally speaking, does not seem to be what went down here. But nonetheless, again, here, let's get into it. So Elon Musk has been the Democrat Party's boogeyman since shortly after Donald Trump deputized him as a top advisor. I want to reiterate here, it's more than like top boogeyman. You guys made him out to be Hitler, right? You guys said he did the Nazi salute. He was the biggest, baddest villain. So, don't get me wrong. People change parties all the time. Activists have their wake up moment. Sometimes you even see low-level congressmen and state representatives change parties to the other side. This is different, okay? This is the biggest villain of them all, and suddenly, like 24 hours later, you have all these Democrats saying, hey, Elon, you want to come back to us? Well, as you'll see in a second, even other Democrats and Democrat activists thought this idea was ridiculous and pushed back on it, and it would seem the entire thing was a waste of time. But nonetheless, here's the rest of the article. So, as Musk called the GOP's big beautiful bill a disgusting abomination and threatened to fire all politicians who backed it, the president mused on Thursday that he didn't know if the two would still have a great relationship. Musk responded on his powerful platform X saying, quote, "Without me, Trump would have lost," adding such ingratitude, as we covered earlier today. But here's where the Democrats, instead of just, being the smart people and laughing at it and pointing out, haha, you guys are divided. No, instead, again, because this is how ridiculously stupid they look, after saying we wanted to firebomb Tesla and we're rooting for this and all that, now suddenly they're crawling to Musk saying, yay, you're our friend, Elon. I kid you not, okay, as you can see. The split is giving some Democrats pause in their portrayal of Musk as a chainsaw-wielding, bureaucracy-breaking villain. Yes, that is correct. With some saying they should give him another chance. After all, the billionaire tech mogul said he voted for former President Joe Biden in 2020 and gave a SpaceX tour to then President Barack Obama. Because yes, again, not only did you do all this stuff to him, but you did not also just claim with the Medicaid cuts and all that he was killing people, right? You literally said, Elon Musk is killing poor people. And I did indeed see some Democrat politicians use that actual phraseology, because their argument is by getting rid of healthcare and all this stuff, that's what you're doing. So according to them, Elon Musk is not only a Nazi, not only is he evil, not only is he pro-Trump, all this, according to him, he's also a mass murderer. That's what they've said about him. Now suddenly they're like, now that you're not with Trump anymore, maybe we could work with you, right? After all they did to him, it's hilarious. Representative Khanna, who represents Silicon Valley and has known Musk for over a decade, says the Democrats should, quote, be in a dialogue with Musk, given their shared opposition to the GOP's mega bill. Khanna is someone I would like to note, tries to frame himself as one of these populist progressive Democrats that is like, we should talk to the other side. We should have some ideas that are different, blah, blah, blah. The guy's a complete fraud, okay? The guy's like a Bernie Sanders 2.0 in the making, well, where they'll kind of give these platitudes, but then whatever. But anyways, okay, let's move on from that. Quote, we should ultimately be trying to convince him that the Democrat Party has more of the values that he agrees with, said Khanna. Really? The Democrat Party has more, especially in the wake of this fallout, right? Considering the fact, number one, we have more values we agree with, which is why we were trying to destroy your life. Okay, but secondly here, completely ignoring the fact that Elon Musk literally had the falling out with Trump because he was arguing, as we said, we don't disagree. We actually disagree with to some level, but his argument was what? That Trump and the Republican Party were not being fiscally conservative enough. He looked at the big beautiful bill and said, you're not making cuts to things like SNAP and Medicaid enough. Meanwhile, Democrats are screeching and crying and, constantly making a fuss over that. But apparently, according to Khanna, in his propagandistic, just ridiculous statement, we should be trying to convince him the Democrat Party has more values he agrees with, guys. Yeah. We just said that cutting government spending is equivalent to killing people, but surely we can recruit Elon to our side. Even before, guys, I want to point this out, even before Elon and Trump seemingly made up or called a truce today, even in the midst of their fighting, this was ridiculous and this was idiotic to make this argument. Okay, it's one thing to say if in a Machiavellian sense, we're going to use the chess pieces. Let's let them fight, whatever. But to say this unironically is ridiculous. But as you can see, his justification is what? Saying, quote, a commitment to science funding, a commitment to clean technology, and a commitment to seeing international students like him, guys. Okay, I mean, let's first of all note, it was Elon Musk and his department who was doing most of the so-called science funding cuts that you guys don't like. So, just gonna point that out, number one. A commitment to clean technology, you say? Yeah. Tesla, I get all that. but it kind of undercuts the argument when you're also trying to firebomb Tesla. Okay, so I don't know about that. And lastly, international students. I mean, I'm not sure that's a core value of Elon Musk's political instincts to begin with. But secondly here, Elon Musk is from South Africa. And I also remember when the Democrat Party had a total meltdown here trying to argue that it was white supremacy for Donald Trump to allow like 50 people from South Africa into our country. So that's all to say, I'm not sure that this is the strongest argument, okay? I don't think, first of all, these issues are really the most key things for most political minds or whatever. But secondly, I don't even think any of them are true. I think they're all actually ridiculous. But as you can see, other Democrats are also warming up to back up to Musk as he leaves the White House and starts to break with his former boss in ways that could benefit the opposition. As you can see, Representative Richie Torres says, "I'm a believer in redemption and he is telling the truth about the legislation." But as he added, Musk has done an enormous amount of damage and there are Democrats who see his decimation of the federal workforce and the federal government as an unforgivable sin. Well, I mean, that should be the consistent argument, because if you guys are going to go along with all the alarmist bullcrap you said about how it's the end of the world because USAID is no longer here and all this stuff, then you should probably stay consistent with that, right? How does a guy go from the H mustache man to like Mother Teresa overnight? It doesn't really work that way, does it? But as you can see, going on here, Liam Keir, the co-founder of the group behind the centrist Democrats Welcome Fest this week in Washington, said, "Of course Democrats should open the door if Musk wants to join back into the party. You don't want anyone wildly distorting your politics, but it's a zero-sum game," Keir said. "Anything he does that moves more towards Democrats hurts Republicans." So, okay, many more things to say, but let's just go on and show you what other people are saying here. Representative Brad Schneider, the chair of the New Democrats, supported the party's targeting of Musk, of Doge and all that. But today he said that with his departure from Washington, Democrats should not make Musk their focus. Quote, "We should be talking about what we're doing for the American people," which, fair enough. But Democrats are, this is, I think, the smart take for Democrats. Hey, just let Musk not give money to Republicans. Maybe that'll help. Although I would make the argument here, okay, if Democrats want Musk to be back on their side, their case the entire time, actually what they've been saying, and maybe there's some truth in, we'll talk about in a second, but was that Musk's presence in the Trump White House and close to the administration and all that was damaging Trump's own popularity, right? And in the inverse, Musk was damaging his own business. So we'll get into that in a second, but I just want to point that out. So if you're gonna argue that Elon Musk was a political liability and he caused all these problems, but you also want him back, I mean, have fun dealing with that, right? But as you can see, this person, Representative Greg Kasar, has pushed back against the idea, saying, "Our caucus has done the right thing and gone toe-to-toe against Musk." And as you can see, Matt Bennett going on here to say, "I don't think we should take on a ketamine-fueled tweet. I don't think we should take one ketamine-fueled tweet as evidence of a change of heart," said Matt Bennett, the founder of a center-left group. "It is more complicated than that." So anyways, guys, there you have it. As you can see, Adam Kinzinger, another Democrat, went out and said, quote, "I'm sorry, Dems, completely idiotic. You want to go into talks with Elon Musk? Really?" I mean, I will also kind of repeat, I think that's a valid argument because, again, if he's the most evil person ever, maybe, are you not having dinner with H-word Hitler? I'm not sure. Anyways, that's one side of this. We'll talk about in a second. But the other angle I want to address, as Jesse Waters, I think, put here very well, is that Democrats, in many ways, the way they're playing this, have egg on their face. Because not only, right, are they now trying to warm up to Musk after calling him the worst human being to ever live, but then secondly here, right, does this not completely undercut every single argument about how Elon was the shadow president? Elon was using his post to corruptly take everything over and influence everything, because guess what? He's now out of influence and he's mad he's falling out because precisely he could not influence government in the way that he wanted 100%. I'm just saying, take a listen.
My issue is that the media said that Musk was the co-president. He doesn't look like the co-president anymore. The media said Trump was doing favors for Elon Musk. Well, if you look at this big, beautiful bill, there's no favors for Elon Musk in it at all. Now, the big, beautiful bill, now he's got a beef with it. These are the things that Trump ran on and won on. wall, ICE guys so you could do mass deportations, military, F-35 ships, pay raises for the troops, and tax relief for everybody, no tax on tips. These are the things that won him the election. He didn't run on balancing the budget.
Yeah.
So this is the priority right now. You have 4 years to balance the budget. Yeah, there's a lot of pork in this thing. There's always a little pork, all right? But this is not a spending bill. This is the signature piece of Donald Trump's second term. This may be the last major piece of legislation Trump ever passes. Well, he might have 3 terms, but for now, we're saying this is it.
So he was the shadow president, and he was using his post to engage in corruption. And yet it all ended because he was not able to use his post to even influence government the way he wanted. The big, beautiful bill got rid of the electric vehicle tax mandates. He got absolutely no personal benefit out of the major legislation passed by Congress. But surely this is a billionaire oligarch trying to buy our political system, they told us. But apparently now, Democrats also want to warm up and accept the help and graciously welcome back that same billionaire oligarch that for a long time saying we want to fight oligarchy and the oligarchs are taking over America. That's the Democrats, right? It's like even in an opportunity where it should be good for them and it should work out, they cannot help but make themselves look stupid and descend and devolve into very incoherent political messaging once again, as Khanna and some other Democrats tried to do. And with that in mind, I think it is also worth noting, as we talked about in the last video, but the Democrat plan to recruit Elon Musk back to their side apparently did not work. Okay, it's a big surprise here, right? Because as you can see today, just as of a couple of hours ago, we covered this in the last video, but nonetheless, Elon Musk is now saying that he wants to make peace with Donald Trump for the benefit of our great country. We are much stronger than we are apart. We covered that before, but apparently, according to Nick Sortor here, per multiple reports, tomorrow, President Trump and Elon Musk are scheduled to have a call, which would be a nice little powwow, right? Nice little opportunity to certainly talk it out with one another. You can see Elon has stopped trashing Trump on the timeline. He's just saying Team America now, because I don't know, maybe he is having some, bigger picture sight here. He, for instance, is realizing, hey, I may have my own disagreements about Trump, but guess what? There's a reason why I got behind him in the election to begin with, and it was because, contrary to what Khanna is saying, the Democrats are massively crazy, and I don't agree with them actually at all.
I think it was essential for President Trump to win to ensure that America remained great, so that we reach greater heights. Really, some very basic things need to happen. We need to have, obviously, a secure border. We need to have safe cities where you can walk around without fear of being attacked. We need to have sensible spending. We need to strive to do great things in the country, to exceed the things that we've done in the past. And I think if President Trump had not won, I think the Democrat campaign to import vast numbers of illegal voters would have succeeded. And they would have naturalized vast numbers of illegals during the sort of Kamala regime. And they would have turned America into a one-party state from which we could never escape.
But no, guys, apparently, according to the Democrats, Elon, according to them, he really agrees with us on more things. Welcome back to the party, sir. They're so, and the funniest thing about this, right, is the Democrat delusion on why they actually lost the election. Like, they still don't understand what's wrong fundamentally with their party. Because you know what they see in Elon Musk? You know why they wanted him back so much? Despite the fact that, again, he was the boogeyman. On top of that, one could argue, especially Democrats would argue, he was a liability for Trump politically towards the end. It's all about money, right? They see, oh, he's a donor. He'll give money to us, because despite the fact that they raised $1.5 billion in the 2024 election, compared to Donald Trump's $300 million, even with Elon giving a decent amount, still Kamala had way more money. they still are operating in this delusion that money and donations wins elections, which it does not, right? That's number one. I guess they kind of think they've understood it a little bit because they're doing all this about the billionaire oligarchs, but suddenly they want another billionaire oligarch on their side. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense there, does it? It's kind of, ridiculous, okay? So that's number one. But the other reason, of course, why Democrats don't understand why they lost is because, what was the big criticism of Kamala? She stands for nothing. She can't articulate. She can't do an interview. Nobody knows what she's about. The Democrat Party seems fake. Seems like they're lacking in real values. They just oppose Trump or whatever. And so to combat that, their grand solution is to, for basically no reason at all, try to recruit someone back into their party who disagrees, as you can see there, with literally everything they stand for. Okay, there's nothing Democrat these days that Elon Musk stands for, but guess what? Because it'll make a statement. We're going to sacrifice all principle to do this. And then again, they wonder why they are at such a terrible approval rating. So with that said, here we are. Now, I do want to address for a moment, because a lot of people have been saying, I keep getting this comment, because people keep saying the whole thing is staged, right? It was staged. Elon was meant to do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go out and say I do not think the feud today was staged or planned, simply because I think the Epstein comment was a little bit much. Okay, I'll go out on a limb and say it was a little bit out there for it to simply be a simple matter of, look, they did it all as an op. So I don't know. That was not part of the script if it was staged. But with that in mind, I will say this. There is a timeline. There is a scenario in which if they're going to make peace and just leave each other alone, it could be mutually beneficial for both sides. Because the objective fact here is that when it comes to Donald Trump, okay, for whatever reason, the Democrats really hammered this home or whatever, but it is the objective truth that Elon Musk was hurting Donald Trump's approval rating by being around the White House. I'm not saying I agree with it. It's just kind of something you observed, right? You look at the Wisconsin Supreme Court race where he got massively involved and it kind of arguably backfired in that situation. You look at the just the polls on Elon and all that stuff. It was certainly not doing Trump a lot of favors by keeping him around, which I think is one angle to why maybe they decided, hey, it's time to split. But on the flip side, Elon also has a self-interest here because he also knows, and I think less people would argue this part, that the relationship with Trump was massively damaging to his business. So I could see a timeline, and I do think, yes, they kind of used the May 30th deadline as an excuse to both say, okay, it's mutually beneficial if we go our own separate ways, because we're better off actually apart in this case than together, because we just cause problems for one another. So that part is true. So in that situation, I don't know, maybe this all works out for the best. That in mind, though, the reason I bring that up is because, so apparently, right, this theory would say Elon is a massive liability, but the Democrats all of a sudden want to bring him back because in their grand political wisdom, if Elon was on the Democrat side, this would not end the same exact way. Like Elon wouldn't do the same exact thing. It's just hilarious. I mean, I don't know what the heck they're thinking, but hey, it's the Democrats. I'm not sure they exactly think. With that in mind, though, with that said, make sure, guys, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and God bless. And until next time, peace.